maybe it's a sound you've heard, but if you woke up in the middle of the night and outside your bedroom window you heard that, what kind of an owl is it?
Who is it? Any guesses? It's not a snowy owl. What do you think? It's a horned owl. Gold star for you.
Yeah, and here's a great horned owl, and we have a great horned owl in this carrying box here. My name is Marcia Wilson. I'm here with my husband, Mark Wilson, and we're going to have some fun with owls here over the next, 35, 40 minutes.
And we brought 5 owls for you to meet. 4 of these owls are native to New England. The 5th owl, the last one to come out, is native to Central and South America, the tropical forests of there. And you'll get to meet an owl that I bet most of you have never seen before. But the other owls are your wild neighbors. And yet, we don't see owls as much as we'd like. They're kind of hard to see at night. They're sneaky, they're camouflaged, they fly silently. So it's hard to get a good look at an owl. Some of you might get lucky and see one, but usually it's a fleeting look. And today you're going to get up close and personal with many of these owls and get a really good look at them. We're also going to have a hooting lesson, because think about this. A lot of times you hear an owl, but you don't see it, and to figure out what kind it is, if you know the call, you can figure it out, whether it's a barred owl, a screech owl, or a great horned owl, or another kind of owl.
Right, but don't be fooled if you hear...
What kind of bird is that?
Anybody ever heard that? What is it?
Morning dove.
Yeah.
It sounds like an owl, doesn't it? Morning doves only call during the day, and a little known fact is some owls eat morning doves. So, yeah. All right, so Marsh is going to handle them, right?
Yep, and not with my bare hands, because after all they have very sharp claws called talons, right? And so the owls are not our pets. We have to have a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service license from the federal government and different state licenses just to have the 15 owls and 2 other birds of prey that we bring to these programs. I can't let you touch or hold the owls. I'll get you nice and close as I walk as close to you as I'm able. And they're not going to be flying around the forest here. They're going to be attached to my belt so they cannot get away. And I'll show you with the first 2 little owls that I'm going to bring out. All of our birds wear leather straps around their legs that I hold between my thumb and my first finger, so they cannot get off the glove.
And that's clipped onto the leash, which is in turn clipped on to the carabiner on her belt loop.
Right, and all of our birds have a lifelong disability, either a physical disability, or maybe they've grown up around people or in a zoo, something like that. And
Become imprinted on people.
Right.
Yeah. So the first 2 owls to come out are eastern screech owls. And other than the fact that screech owls don't screech, they have a good name. But screech owls during the day hide down in holes in trees. They're hard to see during the day. And I bet most of you have never seen one. But now you're going to get to see both colors. They come in 2 flavors. They come in bark and cinnamon. And we got both flavors here to look at. So here comes the bark one, otherwise known as gray. And these aren't babies, they're full grown. And here comes the cinnamon one, otherwise known as red. And screech owls usually don't make much sound during the day, but this gray one has something to say. Let's listen. What's the matter? Are you cranky? Do we wake you? Would you rather be asleep? Yes or no? She'd rather be asleep. She had to think about it there for a second.
We didn't train her to do this. We've had a lot of screech owls in our 30 years of doing these programs, and she's the only one that does this all the time.
Complaining, that is. It's not a call you're probably going to hear other than here at the show. The wild call that you might hear is called a whinny. Sounds like a little horse whinny. And how does that go, Marcia?
Let's all try that. Okay. They also make a trilling sound. I'm not very good at trilling. Mark's not that good at trilling.
And we've got a recording here from Cornell University. They have a screech owl that starts off with 2 whinnies and then does a trill and 3 more whinnies and another trill. So let's listen. Here we go. There's the whinny. That's the trill. Okay, one more whinny coming. Here comes the last trill. Let me hear you trill. That's pretty good effort. I didn't hear any adults trilling though. That was all kids, I noticed. Give yourself some silent applause. That was a good effort. Now we do silent applause because that way the owls don't get nervous and upset. Now the screech owls that live across the pond over there are probably wondering, there's a giant screech owl over there. We heard it trilling. Because that recording is louder than what you'd hear in the wild. If you hear a screech owl calling, it's not far from you, it's close. Now these screech owls came to us from Maryland. They were part of a scientific study. And when the study ended, the researchers had 86 screech owls that needed a home. And I wish we could have adopted all 86, but we adopted 4 of them. And these are 2 of the 4 we adopted. And since they were part of the study, we know a little bit about them. We know that they're both just over 10 years old, and they're both females. The color, however, has nothing to do with their gender. A male could be gray or red, and a female could be gray or red. The only way to really tell them apart by gender is to do a blood test, or if one of them lays an egg, then you know that's a female. But other than that, it's tricky telling them apart. And screech owls during the day, as I mentioned, are hiding down in holes in trees called cavities. And then at dusk, they come awake and they go out to hunt. And they'll catch moths, they'll catch other insects like beetles, and they'll go for mice. And they eat a lot of different things, but mice and moths and beetles are some of their favorite foods. How much do you think a screech owl weighs? Any ideas? Guess. Any guesses? What do you think?
25 pounds.
25 pounds each? So Masha's holding 50 pounds?
Yeah, not a problem.
Masha's been working out at the gym? Pumping iron? That's way too much. What do you think?
Like 13 or something.
13 pounds? Still way too much. What did you say? 2 pounds each? Still too much. What's less than 2 pounds?
10.
No, that's more than 2. What's less than 2?
1.
1 pound? Still too much. What's less than 1?
5 ounces.
0? You're saying they're weightless? It's more than 0. What'd you say?
5 ounces.
You're the closest. The guess was 5 ounces. They're 3 to 4 ounces. So you were right on the right neighborhood. Now they don't weigh much when you think about this, because why? They're covered with what? Feathers, and feathers obviously aren't heavy. And their bones aren't heavy because, what do you think, hollow or solid? Hollow bones, yeah. Now these little screech owls can't be released to the wild because they were raised in captivity for the science project that was conducted. And the researchers were studying the effect of West Nile virus on screech owls. And West Nile virus is potentially carried by mosquitoes. And if an infected mosquito bites you and you get West Nile virus, you'll probably feel like you have the flu, but it won't kill you. But with screech owls, it often kills them. And they discovered that adult screech owls could build up immunity or resistance to the virus, which is interesting. And then when the study ended, they had all these owls to be placed, and that's how we adopted them. Now in the wild, they might live into, their 10 or early teens would be an old one. But in captivity, we would hope they would go into their late teens or 20s. How many people here have seen a screech owl in the wild? Not counting here. Okay, not many of you. I'm not surprised. They're hard to find. And the best way to know if they're in your neighborhood is to go out at night and listen for them. And if you hear that whinny or that trill, you know you've got them in the neighborhood. And you might want to try putting up a birdhouse for them. You can get free plans for one online. 3.5-inch hole. It's about this big by this big by this big. You get the dimensions online, free. And they will use it in the winter to sleep in, called a roosting site. And then in the spring, if you're really lucky, they'll move into the box, lay eggs, and then boom, you got babies peeking out. which is super cute. Yeah.